Good afternoon, good morning to everyone. To this 1 hour webinar of Multilateralism and Cities in 2026, what we expect from the headquarters of the Global Cities Hub. Welcome to all and happy to have you with us. I'm Kamelia Kemileva, the co-director of the Global Cities Hub, and next to me, Antu Duong, the other co-director of the Global Cities Hub, and in a moment I will also tell you who is in the room, who is online as speaker. So we have invited some friends from partner organizations to help us with this short overview of multilateral events and negotiations of relevance for local and regional governments in 2026. And those we will be participating and following specifically in almost all the events which will be mentioned today, if not all. Now, a couple of words to tell you why we are doing this event as Global Cities Hub, which is an organization based in Geneva, I think you know, if you have registered for the webinar. First of all, this is only for multilateral events in 2026, which means events and files involving many parties or stakeholders, as we call them, states or member states of the United Nations, which we also call central governments, civil society and grassroots organizations, international organizations, United Nations and others, and in some cases, expert bodies. And those multilateral events, in our assessment, are important / relevant / open for local and regional governments and administration with our main target public. Second, these events are based on our understanding of what might be important for you in 2026, which is not necessarily what you think. So please feel free to publish your information in the chat of this webinar, but please abide to our rule, which is only multilateral events and only open to other local and regional governments and stakeholders events. So do not publish publications or events that are not accessible for everyone. Those relevant will be included in the news that we will publish after this event on our website. So please check within 48 hours our website, the Global Cities Hub website, our social media, and also we have a YouTube channel on which this webinar will be published. Finally, please tell us spontaneously what do you think of the scope of the events in the chat or drop us a short email after the event. It is true that we are testing the ground with this event, combining multiple issues, and we were wondering how useful this will be for all interested. So we will go a little bit in a rush, as I said, in different issues with different panelists, all of them excellent and good colleagues and friends. So bear with us. It will be hectic, but also interesting. So without further ado, and as I promised, here in the room we have Thea Wu from the United Nations Commission, UNEC, United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, as a first speaker, and she will be talking, of course, no surprise, about the United Nations Forum of Mayors, which she is running the secretariat of and dealing with city issues in UNEC. Also, Graham Alabaster, who will be the last but not least speaker, who is the head of the UN Habitat office here in Geneva, also talking about very interesting issues. And in the middle of these two, Cristina Boetti, also a very dear partner and friend from the ITU, International Telecommunication Union, which with this very big organization, there's a lot of going on city birth, smart cities, etc. So Cristina, who is in charge of this, will tell us more on the second position. The third position is Gulnara Roy from UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. She's the head of the city unit of UNEP, and we also have a lot of files with her, as well as my colleague Antu Wong, who will be speaking about some other issues which will not be covered by the presentations of our colleagues, but are also of relevance. And also in the room, Andras Soreni, who just freshly came from Davos, so he will be just listening and replying to some of your questions if you have any to which none of us can reply, and Simone Sezzolo, who is in charge of our communication coordinator, who is in charge of slides, etc. So this is us. It will be 1 hour. Publish your relevant events and questions and comments in the chat. We will refer to panelists who will reply. To start to hit the ball now with Thea. Thea, very happy to welcome you here. Let me know what the United Nations Forum of Mayors will do during its 2026 session, which is scheduled for 12-13 October 2026 in Geneva, and how are the preparations going on your side? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Camelia, and dear participants. It's also my great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar, which is also labeled under the UN Forum of Mayors Information Series. So we are very happy to launch this together with our key partner, Global Cities Hub, with a view to keep you informed, connected, and engaged in between the Forum of Mayors meetings. And I'm particularly pleased to update you on the preparations of the 6th meeting of the Forum of Mayors, which will be held in Geneva on 12th and 13th of October this year. It will be held in person only, so please do mark these dates in your agenda. We look very much welcoming many of you in Geneva in person. Can I get the next slide, please? So this will be the 6th consecutive year that UNECE convenes the forum with the support of other UN regional commissions, Global Cities Hub, and many other partners. The constantly growing number of participants and the widening geographical scope of the forum clearly demonstrates its relevance and success. And the forum is indeed, it is unique because it's the only official UN body where mayors can participate in their own capacity. They can address issues that are critical for their cities. They can negotiate outcome documents, and they can ensure that local realities and perspectives inform the UN decision-making and the global agenda. The meeting preparations are led by the Forum's Bureau, and this year the Bureau is chaired by the Mayor of Heidelberg in Germany, with the Mayor of Bristol in the UK, the Mayor of Hradec Králové in Czechia, and the Mayor of Geneva serving as Bureau members. Next slide. So, like last year, the forum will...
Thea Eckert-Würtner is online, the chair of the Forum of Mayors. I'm just informed. Hi.
Please continue. So like last year, the forum this year will be again focusing on local level implementation of sustainable development goals that are under in-depth review by the UN member states at the high-level political forum on sustainable development. And this year's forum's meeting will concentrate in particular on the SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, and on its concrete and highly relevant targets, which include reducing environmental impact, sustainable mobility and road safety, adequate and affordable housing, disaster risk reduction, inclusive and sustainable urban planning, and cultural and natural heritage protection. And across all these discussions, accessibility and inclusivity, particularly for persons with disabilities, will be a cross-cutting consideration. Another important cross-cutting theme will be innovative and creative cities, and a dedicated session by the World intellectual property organization WIPO will highlight how city-led innovation and creativity can support inclusive and sustainable urban development. And during the session, WIPO will also host a cities award ceremony. As is customary, the forum will also again conclude with the adoption of an outcome document that that the mayors then will adopt. It will be reflecting on the topics discussed, include commitments on local action, and put forward recommendations and calls for member states to take. And to facilitate a broad ownership and consensus on this document, UNEC will be organizing consultations with participating cities ahead of the meeting. And beyond the plenary sessions, mayors and other participants at the forum will be able to attend a wide range of side events in the margins of the meeting. Based on the expressions of interest this far, you see on the slide an initial list of events which include women mayors, disability, voluntary local reviews, natural disasters, urban fires, and a meeting with the heads of international organizations that are based here in Geneva. In addition, we anticipate that the World Economic Forum, in cooperation with the Global Cities Hub, might again organize Urban Futures Dialogue. As last year, mayors will also have the opportunity to take part in the UNEC Trees in Cities pledge, and of course, the traditional cocktail reception for all the participants will be on the program after the end of the first meeting day. I'd also like to flag here the City to City Cooperation Platform that was launched last year. And this platform aims to connect municipalities seeking support with those offering expertise. And as relevant, help cities co-develop SDG-aligned, investment-ready urban projects. We are currently collecting expressions of interest and encourage interested cities to come forward to us. More detailed information, of course, about everything, the forum and all the associated events will be shared in due course. Then I simply quickly will wish to inform you that we have now initiated the selection process for the mayors to be officially invited to participate. And in the UNEC region, the first step is the nomination of cities by UNEC member states. This is done by mid-March. And then in case of more than one nomination or no nominations, the Bureau will decide. But please note that in addition to this one official mayor per country, also other mayors are most welcome to attend the meeting. And for other regions, the selection of the participating cities will be done and facilitated by the UN Regional Commissions and Global Cities Hub. And again, the Bureau will make the final decision. Then a last piece of information is that in this year, the extension of the Forum of Mayors mandate and its terms of reference will be under review by the UNEC member states, and we'll communicate more information about this because we very much are also interested in hearing your views on the functioning of the Forum of Mayors. So to conclude, I thank you for your continued commitment and interest in the Forum of Mayors, and I welcome you to this year's meeting. The forum was established to amplify the voices of local leaders in the UN system, but its continued success really depends on your collaboration, your engagement also in the future, as well as on resources and support from the partners. For further information, don't hesitate to email us and check out our website and follow us on social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thea. For us, it was extremely comprehensive because we also know the animal, as it is the sixth edition, and we are here from the beginning as Global Cities Cup. Maybe it's a lot of information, and we are happy to publish more on our website. In the meantime, while the website of this sixth edition is prepared, the Global Cities Cup makes the bridge in between periods, and we have on our website, so is shown like right now on the screen. You can also Google it, Global Cities Cup UN Forum of Mayors. So we have basic information, we have some initial information, very preliminary for the Forum of Mayors, and we have one magical form which is very easy to complete, which is situated on the top of the website. It's very easy to complete. The only thing is that it is really dedicated to mayors, to local governments, and obviously regional governments expressing interest. And because of availability of resources, we will not be replying to other interested people if they just want to participate. So we have made this disclaimer, bear with us, we're a small team, but mayors and local and regional governments are very welcome if they wish to fill this form and to express interest. As I mentioned, we work in cooperation, Global Cities Cup, with the other regional commissions. So you all belong to one of the 5 regions, covered by the regional commissions, UNEC being geographical Europe and what we call Central Asia, UNESCO being the rest of Asia and also Pacific Islands, and UNECA being geographical Africa, UNECLAC being the Latin America region, and UNESCO being the Arab countries region. It's not region, but the Arab countries are covered by UNESCO. With this and without further ado, thank you, Thea. Maybe there will be questions, maybe you will speak again until the rest of the webinar, but switching to another very important partner and event. Christina, you have also a very comprehensive but still thick PowerPoint, so please, we're listening to you. Go ahead. And there is a white horse, which is a good thing. So
here we go. Can you hear me? And
yes,
can you see me? Great. So thank you so much, Camelia, for the introduction and also for the great partnership. Also, ITU being the UN Specialized Agency for Digital Technologies, is carrying out a series of activities and also global gatherings where, in particular, cities will be having actually a key leading role. Starting from May, ITU together with other 20 UN entities, including actually UNEC and UN Habitat that are with us today, will be organizing the UN Virtual Worlds Day that will be held at the ITU premises on the 11th of May. In particular, this year actually team will be dedicated to artificial intelligence, spatial intelligence, and cityverse, so shaping digital trusted futures. And this is actually an important theme because, as you can see, the focus will be specifically on local and regional governments. This event will be followed by the second Global Cityverse Assembly. This assembly is specifically linked to a global initiative on artificial intelligence and virtual worlds. And in July, we are going to have also 2 major events that will be held actually in Geneva, in particular at Palexpo. The first one is the AI for Good Global Summit, which is a global gathering actually which enjoyed the participation of over 11,000 participants last year. We expect to have probably the double of participation this year. It will be held also in conjunction with the World Summit on Information Society Forum, which is the UN venue, in particular in terms of following up on the Sustainable Development Goals, and where we have been collaborating closely with the Global City Hub, in particular in bringing the voice of cities and mayors as part of the event. The program will be made available in the next few months. And if I may use the opportunity today, I would like also to highlight a workshop that we will be organizing on the 8th of July in the framework of the AI for Good Global Summit that will focus on agentic AI and Cityverse. Allow me also to emphasize the importance of a global initiative that is supported by 20 UN entities, the United for Smart Sustainable City Initiative. 2026 is a crucial year for cities. It is 10 years from the New Urban Agenda. I'm sure that Graham will tell you more. And it's also 10 years of the United for Smart Sustainable City Initiative, which really provides a platform for cities addressing some of the key pressing topics, from the artificial intelligence to digital transformation to city platforms, and including future foresight. So that's really an opportunity for all cities attending today to join. Participation is available to all, and complementing this effort, ITU, together with Digital Dubai and the UNICC, has launched also a global initiative on virtual worlds and AI, which provide really a platform for cities in particular to help shape virtual worlds and cityverse. So this is really an opportunity where in a fragmented world, cities can prove that cooperation still works. And certainly multilateralism survives not by being an abstract, but being local, practical, and human. And this is something that we have been actually saying for several years, whereby ITU has been working closely with its partner to make sure that we are able to accelerate the digital transformation, keeping a people-centric approach. Thank you very much, and I hope I did not exceed the 3 minutes that you gave me.
No, you did not, Christina. No. You're all very close partners to work together to put this webinar. Everything is perfect. I was just thinking that maybe on our modest website, we can also propose not only to digest all the information that you gave, which is very important, but probably we can create another form of interest as we did for the mayors forum for these activities, you know, Cityverse and these smart cities. We also have our smart city leaders talk probably during this very week in July, where in Geneva concentrates all the world forces on artificial intelligence and smart city and information society. So maybe on this, us in the Forum of Mayors, which is, you know, the pearl in our crown, but also on all these activities, another pearl in our crown, and also some more digest information follow up, and we will do it in the coming days. With this, turning to another very dear friend and partner, Gulnara, who is there. Hi, Gulnara, I'm seeing you now. And a lot of activities also. While you will be speaking, my colleague Simone will be showing, you know, some parts of our website where we referred to previous activities like the City and Region Summit at UNEA in December. But turning to 2026, I wonder what selection you did in the very numerous activities that the city unit of the UNEP is doing. So Gulnara, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Camelia. Dear colleagues, it's so good to see all of you. I mean, it's really great for Global Cities Hub to bring us together on a regular basis. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Yes, maybe I would like to start with maybe looking back into December when UNEP was convening the UN Environment Assembly, the 7th session, where its midterm strategy was adopted. It continuously looking into the triple planetary crisis, basically intersection of the addressing challenges, looking into the climate change, pollution prevention, reduction, and biodiversity protection. So all these challenges on the global, but also on the local level, remain to be very, very important. What probably is different that many of us are working on in 2026 is the focus on implementation. It seems that in the previous years, we worked a lot on the normative basis. We launched many pledges, commitments. So this is really a good time to work on implementation of these commitments. And as Camille, you mentioned, we organized, convened the Cities and Regions Summit at the UNEA 7. We had over 900 people participating online and then about 100 people in person. One of very important works that goes into 2026 is a tracker of engagement of subnational actors in multilateral and multilateral agreements, because we know there is already a very good process of engagement of subnationals, for instance, under CHAMP initiative on the climate COP. However, the question is how much it is, in a way, gets the learning from the process of subnational engagement under the Convention on Biodiversity or other multilateral environmental agreements. So this kind of tracker, together with our colleagues at the Institute of Housing Studies in the Netherlands, we presented at the UN Environment Assembly Cities and Regions Summit, and we're going to launch it at the World Urban Forum in Baku this 2026 in May. The second topic that we're working, and it's very much related to the priorities that I mentioned already, to the implementation, is urban finance. So one of the works that we're working as UNEP, but also in a very good cooperation with 13 other UN agencies under the Local 2030 initiative is urban finance. There is an urban finance working group, and specifically we're really focusing on developing kind of bankable pipelines of projects in very specific countries, in very specific cities. So, so therefore, end of the last year was very, very busy, and I think, but also very productive, thanks to these two big outcomes, the tracker and also launching the work on the urban finance. This year is also very, very exciting. First of all, this year of the triple COPs. So first of all, of course, we're already focusing on the climate COP, COP31 in Turkey, where we, as we heard already, cities and buildings will be very much on the agenda. So November, COP31 on the buildings, schoolings, on pizza heat, that will be very, very important. The COP for Convention of Biodiversity, COP17 in Yerevan, is another very big priority for us. It will be taking place in September. This is where subnational governments already very actively engaged. So it will be very, very important event. And of course, the third desertification COP, which will be taking place in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. So all three of them happening this year. And we're really looking forward in bringing subnational governments to these COPs and making sure also that experience of subnational engagement in different climate and environmental processes are well interconnected, and we really have learning, including through the tracker of MEAs that I mentioned. SDG 11 is, of course, on the agenda of the high-level political forum. So we already provided an input to the expert group, for instance, through the outcomes of the Cities and Regions Summit of UNEA. And of course, we're looking into series of events organized by the Local 2030 Coalition, including a meeting of all the kind of heads, representatives of the organization in February in Bilbao. What I also wanted to mention is the work, when we speak about implementation, we're really looking into implementation on the sectoral basis. Of course, we're looking into national determined contribution, but also into the sectors. So we're very actively working on cooling, both active cooling and passive cooling, on the food waste, which is, of course, as more widely organic waste is the source of the emissions of the methane. And we're looking into the buildings. So we launched a global status report on buildings. We'll be launching the new one at the World Urban Forum. The Global Cooling Watch was launched at the COP30 in Belém. And the overshot publication will be launched in June next year. So what are the key events in this year? Of course, there are plastic pollution treaty negotiations, which will be taking place in February in Geneva. So we'll be definitely looking into this. We will be organizing Sustainable Buildings and Construction Summit, which will be taking Lausanne, Switzerland, from 20th to 22nd of April. There will be very important opportunities for cities and regions to engage. There will be subnational roundtables. There will be 2 sessions, one on urban planning and one on affordable housing. So we're happy to provide more information about this. And we're looking, of course, forward for the World Urban Forum, about which I'm sure Graham will explain a bit more. We would like to launch our global status report on buildings, the EMA tracker. So it will be quite busy event also for us. So we are very grateful to our good colleagues at the UN Habitats for very good communication in the preparation of this. So, and the next, of course, in addition to the COPs, as I mentioned, we'll be participating also in Innovate for Cities conference, where we will be also disseminating outcomes of the overshoot report. You probably heard already about the overshoot approach that Secretary General was actually also voicing in his New Year presentation to the UN. And HLPF, World Urban Forum, will be very, very important. And UN Water Conference, of course, will be very important milestones for us this year. So back to you, Camelia.
Thank you, Gulnara. I got hot listening to you, although I know most of the topics. So it is very extensive, and I know that you still didn't mention some 2 or 3 things that we wanted to mention. It's a lot going on. You have, a brilliant team, but also all our support at the Global Cities, as you know, to publish information. We will publish all this in the news. So thank you very much for this extensive overview. I just wanted to slide probably a word that we also started a discussion, which is for the moment very preliminary, but we will work with all of you, but mainly obviously with UNEP, which is holding the secretariat of all these different parts of UNEP, is in touch and having secretariats of all these COP, all these conventions that unite their parties, because COP is conference of party at the end of the day, but also all these globally called, multilateral environmental agreements, which are apparently a lot, and many people get lost into this. So we will also try to look as Global Cities Club in this localization of the multilateral environment agreements, meaning how all these COPs, how all these agreements are relevant and applied and applicable and digestible, I might say, for cities and LRGs. So this will be also something that we will be looking at during this 2026. With this, and I'll return the word to all of you for more, complementary information. I know that Antu is replying already, giving information in the chat on the things that you mentioned, trying to be as useful as possible. Turning to Graham, so your name was mentioned several times, mainly in connections to the World Urban Forum, which will be held in next May in Baku, and UN Habitat is the big boss of this event. So please have the floor on this and the other topics that you have prepared.
Thank you very much, Amelia, and to the Cities Hub for inviting us to this event, and of course to my dear colleagues in the UN sister agencies. There's three things I want to talk about to you this morning. One is World Urban Forum. I'm going to briefly mention about the University Cities, and then also talk about the process to the high-level meeting of the General Assembly, which of course is very important for all of us.
The famous HLPF, which was mentioned already.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just to start on the World Urban Forum, many of you have heard already, but it's from in May this year, the 17th to the 22nd. For the first time, it's for a long time, it's in the UNEC region here, and it's in Baku in Azerbaijan. And the theme is housing the world, safe and resilient cities and communities. This is really aligned with Habitat's new strategic plan, which begins this year. And the forum, for many of you, of course, are familiar, but the forum is really a platform. It's a process. It's not, doesn't have any legislative mandate for UN Habitat, but it's an intersectional, if you like, urban conference. But these historically are very well attended. In 2024, the event in Cairo attracted 28,000 people. And in addition to a few heads of state and many, many ministers, there's a large body of mayors who come to this event, and also civil society. Next slide, please. On this particular work, the objectives are, of course, mainly to address the global housing crisis and ensure that governments, member states, give it top policy priority. The second purpose is, and this is always the case with work, to really be a showcase for practical solutions and best practices. This indeed is a space where many exchange ideas, both formally through sessions and informally. We, of course, the objective is also to build new partnerships and to look at, many of the issues related to urbanization and housing are, of course, interdisciplinary. And this is a place where the financiers, the politics, and other groups come together. Human rights, for example, all come together. And we do have some output from the meeting in the form of a Baku call to action, which is, if you like, a distillation of all of the policy outcomes, which of course goes into the process of our Legislative Assembly, the UN Habitat Assembly, which is only held every 4 years. And the next slide, please. So just to give you an idea of the flavour, a vast proportion of the events at WOOF are organised by our partners, something of the order of 300 different events. So although UN Habitat take the lead in organising some of the more formal sessions, including a ministerial meeting, dialogues on specific topics, some special sessions, and there's assemblies of different groups, and of course some roundtables. But the vast majority of events at WOOF are organised by urban actors themselves. They come together in partnerships. There's a whole range of different types of events, ranging from dialogues and also events to share experience, training opportunities, and so that's a space which is governed by our partners. And of course, in addition, there is an exhibition space where the exhibitors come who are urban actors. Next slide. In terms of the high-level segments, we have a leaders' summit. Usually, in addition to ministers, there will be a few principals from UN agencies there. This is an event co-hosted and organised by our host government this year, which is, of course, the government of Azerbaijan. There is a high-level meeting, ministerial meeting on the new agenda. This is also designed to feed into the process and preparation for the high-level meeting later in the year. And then there's the City Leaders Lab, which is more of a transformative city leaders-like meeting. And the next slide, please. So the Urban Expo, of course, is a huge opportunity for exhibitors. We have exhibitors from all over the world. This also has some space for discussions and debates within the expo itself. This is quite a popular, more informal meeting space, which is used. But of course, the idea of this expo is to showcase innovative solutions for development. I would now like to move on to the next slide, which is just very briefly to say a little bit more about the Innovative Cities Conference, which is very, very close. You can see it's back to back with WUI. This event is organised in partnership with Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Global Covenant Affairs. It's in Nairobi. It's funded by or co-funded by the European Union, and Habitat's one of the main implementers. And of course, this is the title suggests. This is about bridging science, policy, and practice in the urban space, with a highlight, of course, on new and innovative approaches and solutions, but focused, of course, on high technology and all these sorts of things. So you can see a bit of a timeline there. There's still an opportunity for the next couple of months to make a proposal for sessions. That meeting that will be basically organised in June. You can see the topics there on the right-hand side: multi-level governance partnerships, housing infrastructure, digitalisation, AI, justice and equity, and finance and implementation. So moving on to the third topic I wanted to mention this morning is the high-level meeting of the General Assembly on the new urban agenda, which will take place in July 2026. So there's a process, of course, leading up to this. This is a slide, if you like, also from our internal side about some of the steps that we're doing to submit reports to the Secretary General's office in preparation. Of course, the new urban agenda, the World Urban Forum comes within this process and contributes to it. And of course, in addition to the report that we're preparing at the moment, it's currently being written as we speak. There will be an extended report based on this work, which will develop later in the year. But this, you can see that there's preparations for the high-level meeting where there's involvement, of course, involvement opportunities for all of you, both in participating in the various reports that we're preparing to support this meeting. Just a little bit on the background there, you can see, for those of you who are interested, gives a reference to the relevant documentation.
Can you spell all the UNGA elements?
Well, it's you can see there that, of course, the co-facilitators for this meeting are Malawi and Poland, who will lead these intergovernmental consultations to prepare and agree in advance on what's presented and submitted to the President for adoption at this meeting. So I tried to be as brief as I could, and that's all I've got to say. If you need any more information, please feel free to come back to me or our colleagues in the Cities Hub for more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's also a lot, but we will publish on our website. And obviously, for all the panelists, I will give you the floor probably just quickly to conclude in a moment. Right now, I just wanted to mention that there are some suggestions in the chat of other initiatives that we will show in a moment. And also, this is the last moment that you can interject in the chat quick questions to panelists before we conclude. And now with no further ado, she's really multitasking, my colleague Antu. She's replying in the chat, she's mentioning references, and right now, Antu, I have to give you the floor also, so you're multitasking, that's for sure, to shed light on topics related to human rights and migration that we are also dealing with at the Global Cities Camp, and also some events and highlights in 2026. And last but really not least, because this is our brand new initiative, which we are absolutely enthusiastic to develop, is the initiative of multilateral donor cities and regions that we will be developing as of now. So, Antu, come to talk.
Thank you, Camelia, and I'll try to be as short as possible. The first event I think we would like to flag, and that will take place in New York in May, from the 5th to the 8th of May, is the International Migration Review Forum. That takes place every 4 years, and it reviews the progress of the Global Compact on Migration, which seeks to address migration governance and to address challenges associated with migration worldwide. The President of the General Assembly, which is convening the event, has really taken a whole of government approach, encouraging states to include, a whole of society membership in their own delegation, and therefore we would encourage local and regional governments interested in migration to approach their central administration and ask more information and ask whether they can actually be part of that meeting with their own state. I can see that we have some colleagues and friends from the Mayor's Migration Council who could also provide you with more information. Otherwise, you should check the local Coalition for Migrants and Refugees. I'll put the reference in the chat. Second is our work on human rights. We have started to collaborate with a few partners, thinking about encouraging cities to adhere to adopt the CEDAW, which is the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, and to take very concrete action at the local level to integrate that convention at local level through, for instance, gender equality policies, through procurement policies, through encouraging women and girls to do sports at municipal level, to make sure that your municipal administration is having a gender lens, looking at its The movement has been launched a very long time ago in the US, back in the 80s, so it's not very new, but we would like to expand the movement worldwide. And finally, the third topic you mentioned earlier, Camelia, is about cities and regions as emerging donors at a time of intense funding pressure. I think it's very interesting that we look at cities and regions who are stepping up as donors to international organizations. The objective somehow there is to have a community of cities and regions that are donors who are interested to exchange practices, to better understand one another's strategies and priorities, and to nurture that discussion around that topic, which seems to take on increasing importance. And I'll stop there, Camelia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, I will be repeating myself, but this is relevant. Follow us on the news already of this webinar. We will give, comprehensive information on everything mentioned, and also our website and social media. We also amplify information or transfer information for all the partners that spoke today sitting in the room. In this vein, it came a request for some complementary information to UN Habitat. Antu is also checking if there are other questions. And in the meantime, also came the proposal that we show this initiative of quality of life. I don't know, Simone, if you have it ready. So we haven't spoken in the webinar about it, but we're also working with this very particular initiative, quality of life. So, Andras, you're the one working on it. I don't know if you just want to present it with probably 2 or 3 sentences. The quality of life initiative, which has been mentioned, just for completeness. It came into the questions and answers part of the webinar.
Yes, very briefly, we were really happy to learn about this initiative and collaborate with the office here in Geneva under the leadership of UN Habitat to make sure that this initiative, which aims to cooperate with cities and help them to measure by large number of reference points, their capacities and preparedness to develop their services, their conditions, to provide better services and improve the quality of life of their citizens by sharing information, by sharing good practices, and helping these cities to mount projects to advance into that direction. It is a very good initiative which is linking the 3 levels of governance, given that it is initiated by a state, it is administered by UN Habitat, and the main partners and participants are, of course, local and regional governments. So we can have the best of the 3 levels in this type of book.
Thank you very much for jumping into this. Graham, the complimentary information that you were requested to do.
Yes, certainly. Yes, for those of you who would like more information, Habitat's Secretariat for an initiative called Local 2030, which is a program supported by UN Habitat. It's headquartered in Bilbao in Spain. And the idea is it's about how to localize the SDGs. And basically, it's an area of expertise where tools and approaches have been got together. It's a forum where we exchange tools and approaches on how to implement the SDGs at the local level. It's designed to look at developing new solutions, sharing solutions between partners, and unlocking the bottlenecks to the application of the SDGs at the local level. So this, of course, your engagement in this is, of course, very important, and it's a very important component on the road to book and to our UN Habitat Assembly, which takes place every 4 years. So if you need more information for that, either contact me here in the office, or you can find quite a lot of information on the UN Habitat site and local 2030.org.
Thank you, Graham. And we will reference this website. It's useful to be known even in general. So thank you for this. Now, naturally, actually, Gulnara, I'm turning to you because this is something which came up into the questions and answers. So to everyone, but mainly to Gulnara, to whom I will give the floor, is the next question: how can multilateral initiatives meaningfully empower local governments to address pressing challenges around governance, finance, decision-making, and last-mile services?
Thank you very much, Camille, and thank you so much, colleagues, for this question. Well, first of all, any technical cooperation or policy advice projects, for instance, UNEP is implementing in many countries, kind of the largest portfolios, for instance, in India, in other countries in South Asia, for instance. So any projects that we're implementing, for instance, on sustainable buildings, housing, passive cooling, active cooling, they are already part of the implementation of the multilateral commitments, right? For instance, of Paris Agreement, but also very concrete sectoral pledges. Let's say Belém call for action on sustainable housing was launched at COP30 in Belém, and Global Cooling Pledge, which was launched at COP28 in Dubai, for instance. So large-scale projects are being implemented based on the best practices which were collected under, for instance, Global Cooling Pledge or BLM Call for Action on Sustainable and Affordable Housing. So this is the first step. I think the best practices which are collected under each initiative, they are used at the very local level in the very concrete way in very concrete communities. But as I mentioned, this is why we started work on this tracker of subnational governments and other actors' engagement in multilateral environmental agreements in order to facilitate the learning. Because we know that, for instance, under the Convention on Biodiversity, there is already a quite extensive plan, which is facilitated by ICLEI, where UNEP is actively participating, where lots of, there's much more history than under other conventions. So we're trying through this tracker bring best experiences and practices of how local projects are implemented under the Convention on Biodiversity into other convention, into other multilateral agreements. So, and this, peer learning and lessons learned on a very concrete projects, activities, up to what kind of building materials you are using, right? What kind of passive cooling techniques you are using. They are very concrete, and this is actually taking place thanks to existence and the political commitment of the governments who have adopted those agreements and conventions. I hope I answered this question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. And obviously, it's a continuing dialogue on this with local and regional governments. I'm turning now to Ted and Christina for the last word. And, I was requested to also ask you this question. And I can also a little bit simplify and say, we are here at the Global Cities Club. We're asking ourselves constantly one simple question: what is there for local and regional governments that would come and engage with our events? What they get through this event, what they get from these events, because as we know, local and regional governments are very concrete, result and solution oriented. So in your last word, if you can address in 1 or 2 minutes all these topics, it will be very nice. You're smiling, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Camelia. That's indeed a very relevant question and also challenging question. So in terms of concrete outcomes, so let me start from the second part of your question. I think that in events like, for example, the World Information Society Forum, which, as you know, the Global City Hub, together with ITU, has been championing the participation of local governments. I think that is probably one of the key moments when local governments have an opportunity to make a direct impact on a UN process, especially when we are rediscussing the post-SDG 2030 agenda. So that's important that we take into consideration the context of the various events. So there are events like, for example, the UN Virtual World Day, that is certainly a platform that provides an opportunity to local governments to learn, be better prepared, especially when it comes to how they could use new emerging technologies that leverage, let's say, artificial intelligence, but going well beyond. And I'm referring to, for example, spatial intelligence. I'm referring, for example, to digital twin, to Cityverse. And in that case, certainly the local governments have an opportunity to share what they are doing, to learn from other cities what they are doing. It's the only platform that in particular address these topics, and that's quite crucial, especially when cities are confronted with a lot of challenges related to, for example, how can I use artificial intelligence in an effective manner and not just for the sake of claiming that I'm using artificial intelligence in my city. When we look, for example, at other events like for example, City versus Assembly, that's another important moment for local and regional governments to make a concrete impact in what it will be the future standardization process. And I would like also to remind all colleagues that the ITU is a UN specialized agency, but is also an international standards organization. And the fact that we give the opportunity to cities specifically to be able to participate in an international standardization process is unique. I think it's, again, an opportunity to drive the global agenda. So I think that, as I said in my slides, I think that I believe that 2026 is definitely a crucial year for cities, is a pivotal moment when cities, they have really the opportunity to raise their voice, especially when it comes to localize global commitments. So that's that I hope that responded to your questions in the few minutes given.
Thank you very much, Christina. Indeed. So with this, and to be really on time, Thea, we started with you. We are, finishing with you to tell you the importance that we put on the UN Forum of Mayors. So please have the floor for the last words.
Thank you, Camilla. Well, the Forum of Mayors agendas, they are always selected so that they address the global, national, and local priorities. And aside from this peer learning aspect, which is of course very important, and bringing together mayors from not only around the UNEC region, but also from globally, it allows mayors to learn. But in addition, the fact that, as said, the Forum of Mayors is anchored officially, formally into the UN system. It's a subsidiary body to the Committee on Urban Development, Housing and Land Management. And this allows mayors to address issues that and messages to member states for them to be taken into account in the intergovernmental processes. Last year, for instance, the committee held a ministerial meeting on housing, affordable and sustainable housing, which is really a key priority and a crisis in our region and also beyond. And affect very much local governments. So a series of commitments were negotiated, also clearly indicating that the role of local governments is important and that there is a need for national governments to empower them to create adequate legal policy and financial support. So this is a clear commitment from the ministers that came also from recommendations and calls from the Forum of Mayors that addressed at their level housing-related challenges, or another commitment which was to create an integrated platform that makes available data to national and local governments, because often also the data availability may prevent local governments to act. So these are very concrete issues in which the Forum of Mayors is rather unique body. So once again, I much welcome your interest and welcome your suggestions and your engagement and contribution into the forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thea. We continue dialogue. I continue repeating this, but we also retained, I think, from this webinar, many information, but one word coming back, very much. This was the localization, word localization in multilateral environment agreements, localization in international standards, artificial intelligence, localization, obviously, SDGs as the main topic of the Forum of Mayors. So with this, we will continue the work. It's only the beginning of the year. It's already very busy. I thank you very much, everybody, who followed this webinar. Once again, there will be a news on the webinar with all the references. There will be a webinar entire content on the YouTube channel of the Global Cities Hub. Thank you, Christina, Gulnara, Graham, and Thea, and all the colleagues of your offices working, behind to prepare this. Thank you, Andres, Simone, and Tu. And see you soon, all of you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day or evening on your side. Bye.